All right, everybody, welcome back to Smooth Talk. I am your co-host, John Cantu, Taylor Blank behind the camera, and today, that's my boy, and today we have a special guest, Nash Cogswell. How you doing, Nash?
Hey, everybody, how's it going?
All right, for those that don't know, Nash is a current member of the United Air Force. Nash, tell us about yourself.
Hey, everybody, I'm Nash. Been at Whiteman Air Force Base for about 7 years now. Joined back in 2015. Seems like a long time ago, but flew by. I'm from Michigan originally. Met Taylor bowling, actually.
On
Crazy
base.
to think. On base, yep. Our buddy Tony hooked me up, and one of my best friends now. And I met this guy John at GNC through Taylor, and now they hook me up all the time.
Yep. Trying to take care of our troops, take care of our troops. So a lot of what we're going to talk about today is just military stuff.
Yep.
You already answered kind of one of my first questions, like how long you been in.
Yep.
You got in 2015.
The very end of 2015. Went to basic on New Year's Eve. Being from Michigan, big Michigan State fan, and actually went the night that Michigan State got destroyed by Alabama in the college football playoff. Literally saw an interception on my phone, and then that was the last time I saw my phone for about 8 weeks.
Isn't that crazy? So let's just get right into it. We're going to just jump in and have a good time on this one.
Yep.
I know a lot of what we're going to talk about is kind of basic training in general, and the kind of like the similarities that I was Army, your Air Force, some of the similarities there. But it's so funny you said that, the phone aspect.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people don't understand. It's like it's gone.
Yeah, it's completely. After you make that phone call home where they give you almost a script where you say, hey, Mom, hey, Dad, I've made it to this place. I love you. And then you don't see your phone for another 8 weeks. I had 320 texts when I got my phone back. It was pretty crazy. And, it was people I already told I was going to BMT, and they acted like we could text the entire time. They kept texting me, where are you at? Why aren't you answering? And I'm like, I have my phone.
Do you remember, mid or at any point when you get your phone back and it's 20 minutes? I know that when we didn't have ours the whole time until basically basic graduation, but I was in the combined where AIT, you got a 36-hour break, then you go right into AIT,
Mm-hmm.
but they did a basic graduation. But the week before, you got your phone back for 20 minutes to call and tell everybody. Do you remember that? Did you have that same experience?
So we get the phone call right when we get there, and then there's 8 weeks of training.
Yeah.
I think Airman's Week counted as the 9 week. I don't even know if they still have Airman's Week, but I think the 5th week we got another 20 minutes to call home and just say hello. And then throughout basic, they actually have what's called a patio break. And if your flight is doing really, really well and your MTI is cool about it, you're supposed to bring a payphone card.
Yeah, the card.
And
that never works.
Yeah, that never works.
Never works.
Never works. I got to use it once, and it was pretty cool because I got to tell my family, hey, I passed it. Our EOC, which is our written test at the very end of basic.
Yeah.
Because the entire time you're there, you're reading out of a book of Air Force history, all the stuff you should know before you go to your base.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole time, Sundays, where you can either go to church or you can be in the dorm or the barracks.
Yeah.
And I got called the barracks turtle because I just never went to church, didn't grow up religious. And so I enjoyed not having the MTI around on Sundays because they're not there unless your flight is screwing up.
Yeah. And there's always that one group.
Oh, yeah.
But it's kind of good to have them because they take the attention away from everybody else.
Yeah.
Because, I remember when I got my phone back for that 20 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
I texted. I don't even think I called anybody.
Yeah.
I just texted them, and I had a pair of headphones that I jacked in, and I just started playing music because I missed music so much.
It's crazy. I forgot lyrics to songs being there, because it was funny. Because when you first get there, I was so nervous that I did not go to the bathroom for the first 2 weeks I was there because it's just nervousness.
Really?
And finally when I was okay to go, we would all go into the bathroom and then we were almost like a barbershop quartet. Somebody would come up with a song that would put us in a good mood, and we'd sing it while we were just shitting in the stalls.
Yeah, you'd hear that in the showers too, and it's
Yeah.
funny. It's like you don't think. It's funny you said that, like in church. You know,
Yeah.
like when you go to church and they're singing to God and stuff. It's like no, there's not always. You know, most people can't sing that well, but they're still there just doing it,
Yeah.
and nobody cares because of the situation.
Mhm.
And basic, it is a lot like that. It's like you'll go take a shower, and if somebody's singing, it's like they don't care because you're gonna have some beautiful standout voices,
Mhm.
and you're just basically listening to them, but you're just kind of helping them out
Oh yeah.
just to keep them from getting nervous because you just want music.
Oh yeah. It was just too funny. Like I would forget movie line, like because I'm a big movie buff, and like all my buddies say like, oh, he knows every movie. When I went there, your brain just totally changes because you're not in charge of your life for 8 weeks.
So the beginning. Now
Mhm.
I know for me, one of the confusing parts that a lot of people face is they think, oh, I'm going straight into basic,
Hmm.
and they don't realize you have reception, where
Yeah.
you're actually getting your uniforms, getting your bags, and you might be in reception for 2 weeks on top of everything else.
Yeah.
Now, and they're teaching you formalities, whether it be like the marching, like the
Mhm.
real basic
Drill.
of the base drill, yeah,
Yeah.
like showing up for roll call, like the most basic of the basic
Yeah.
stuff. And the whole time you're going to the cafeteria, and they're just like, "You want a cheeseburger?
Yeah.
Hey, take two, take three."
Yeah, so when we get there and it's called 0 week, but even
Yeah.
before that, my flight took forever to get there. So for a whole 2 weeks, we weren't even in technically basic. We were in barracks with other flights that weren't completely full, and random MTIs would come in and teach us different stuff.
Mhm.
And then we would go. Then we finally made it to 0 week. So I had sneakers, no uniform, and didn't get a haircut for the first 2 weeks I was in basic because because they didn't have enough people to send us to our MTI.
Yeah, to the actual training.
Yeah, to the actual
Yeah.
train. So we got there, and like the main thing in basic for Air Force you need to know is your training report, and you say, "Sir, trainee Cogswell reports as ordered." That's
Mhm.
all you need to really know when you're at basic, and you need to say that before you start a conversation with the MTI.
Now we did go in at different times because I went in 2012 to 2016, so we served together very briefly, not together, but in
Yeah.
the same. That being said, I don't know how it was when you went through, but I know that like when I went through, because of the the environment at the time was still a little rugged.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And it's fine. I actually liked it, but
Yeah.
you know, when we showed up, it was shark attack. You know, and I
Yeah.
remember that the guy right next to me, thank God, he was the one that got like shark attacked first, and that's the worst. If you're the
Mhm.
first one, because you know it's coming, but you didn't know really how to expect.
Yeah.
And people have to understand you're separated from your family probably for the first time
That was me.
with no connection to the outside world. They take your phone away.
Yep.
Now you're on your own, and now you've got no idea really what's going on. And then everybody's going to come up to you, and it's sensory overload. So they just start telling
yeah.
you know, and people might say this is bad, but it'll make sense down the road.
Oh yeah.
Where they're telling you you're an idiot, you're dumb, you're gonna fail,
Yeah.
you're worthless. Why are you even here? Why are you so fat?
Yeah.
I mean, they're laying it on.
Yeah.
I mean, and this poor kid, you know,
Yeah.
he's trying to be a good
He doesn't know what to
sport,
do.
and you know, he starts crying.
Yeah.
And now, I'm not saying he's bawling. It's just tears are coming
Yeah.
from his eyes, but he's keeping straight.
Yeah.
But his mind had never been
He's
in
frozen.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's never
Don't know what
happened
to
to
do.
him, and you think you can be prepared for that, and it's like you think
No.
you are until you're there, and like luckily for me, seeing him, like watching him,
Mhm.
I was a little bit just that much more prepared for what was going to happen. But for him to be the first one, that sucked. I
Yeah.
felt bad.
My first night there, like I left when I was 18, like just turning 19 in June that year. So that was my first time ever away from home, first time ever away from parents, and get off the bus. You have to bring your social security card,
Oh yeah,
and it fell out of my wallet And I'm in line. I'm like, oh, I can't. Should I grab it? Should I grab it? Should I grab it? MTI's right there. He walks by and like because it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, he wasn't. He was still being MTI yelling and stuff, but he was like, "You might want to pick that up. That's like your life right there." So I like jumped out of line, got back in, and then we go to Chow finally, which is Chow is like
Heaven.
It is. But when
Heaven.
you first get there, you're so nervous that you're gonna do something wrong, and like they told us you need to get 3 drinks in you, and that was all I was thinking about while I was eating, and scarfed him down. And no lie, poor girl in front of me, she had been there for like 5 weeks, I think. She had uniforms and everything, and I just upchucked all my drink onto my tray. Nobody even really noticed either until the girl raised her hand and said, "Sarge, you got sick." They come over and like, "You okay?" I'm like, "Yes, sir," and acted like nothing happened, but like just the nervousness. But as you go on, you can't wait to get to chat because you know how to act, you get to relax, and you get to watch your weakers get yelled at.
Yeah.
You know how to act.
And as the weeks progress, it's always funny. You watch the new batch come in, and you're just like, okay, like I'm past that, and that shows. And like you said, it just shows your growth and progression, even in a short period of time. 5 weeks in, you know. I think it's like, so when we got off the bus, we had the shark attack and everything. We have like 3 duffel bags. For people that don't know, basically your whole livelihood is in those duffel bags for the next like 3 to 4 months.
Oh yeah,
and sometimes longer depending on even when you're going to get stationed. So then they're like, there's a hill, and they're like, climb up that hill, get up that hill, you know. And everybody's struggling. You're carrying all this stuff. Then you're out in formation for just hours, and then on comes the smoke session. Now, smoking, for people that don't know, when we say a smoke session, you're eating concrete. You're doing push-ups, sit-ups, jumping jacks. You're gonna sweat. Yeah. And remember, we were just talking about in reception. There we said, "Well, have that extra cheeseburger." And at the time, you're like, "Well, yeah. This is a great idea. Look at this great food." And they basically, for those 2 weeks, if you're not thinking, they're trying to get you out of shape to make it really easy to break you down when you get there. And it's clever, but not everybody falls for it. Me, myself, I was a little bit more aware of the situation. It doesn't mean that it's any easier, but at least I didn't throw up day 0, at least. I mean, I think everybody throws up at least once.
Because people show up just out of shape. Like, I don't understand that. Like, why do people come and just expect to pass everything so easily? And like, I wasn't in perfect shape, but I at least trained. I looked up what our PT test is, which is like what we have to pass every year to stay deployment ready. And in ours, you have to pass 1.5 miles in under 13:30, and then you have to do at least, what is it now? I think you have to do at least 44 push-ups and 56 sit-ups, I think is now.
Yeah, and these are minimal numbers.
Yeah.
These aren't like they consider a 70 like for a grade. This would be like minimal numbers.
Yeah, and if you if you get a 90 or above on it, you don't have to test for a whole another year. So like my last one, I got a 90.5, so I don't have to test till November this year.
I have a big military family, and they kind of helped coach me. They gave me the inside points, and I heard all about it. You know, the best piece of advice I got going in was, I think it was from my cousin Leah, and she was just talking about, or it might have been my cousin Scott that I heard from my aunt, but they just said it's like, it's all got to end. So if you're getting smoked, it's got to end sometime. They've got to train you at some point. You've got to get sleep in at some point. It's probably going to be interrupted, but you got to get sleep in. So I always kept that in my mind through the whole time I was there. But with the PT test, the funniest thing about that is that I preach this to a lot of people, even though it's probably not, giving away the secrets and whatnot. But I knew that I wasn't necessarily a strong runner. I wasn't a bad one, but they broke them into 4 categories: A, B, C, D. Yeah. And I intentionally bombed my running. I just bombed it because I was like, the first test I took, I was like, I need to be like on that cuffs, and then I'll get put in the D squad, and then I can slowly train while I'm there without having to stress. And I worked my way to C, and by the end of it, like we all know the A runners. You're never going to catch them.
No, they're track stars.
they're
they were track stars in high school.
You're not catching them.
Yeah.
They have a particular leader that's with them.
Crazy what they can do.
Yeah,
sometimes.
it's like if you're in the B group, you're a good runner.
Yeah.
You're a good runner. But for me, it's like I was never a strong runner, so I was like, I'm just going to start from scratch.
Yeah. Well, I was a baseball player, and just like Mr. Baseball said, we're not athletes. We're ball players. Like I never ran. Like we ran poles at practice. That was the most running I did in high school. Then I show up, and like I think my first test that we took just to see where we're at, I ran like a 12:10.
How old were you when you went in?
18.
Oh, you
turning 19 that June.
Okay.
That year.
Oh, so
2015.
you were.
Oh, I was a baby.
Okay.
I'm 20. I'm 26 Friday. This Friday.
Okay.
It's crazy how time flies.
That's why I just wanted that perception too. Yeah.
And going back to what you said, like you get better throughout training. One of the biggest lies everybody tells you is like it gets better. It's not it gets better. It's you get better.
You get better. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I
agree with that.
So many people say that throughout BMT, and like it's not it gets better. It's you get better at what you're supposed to do. Like mentally, that is what basic is. It's most for Air Force at least. They're mentally breaking you down when you first get there. Yes, there's physical stuff. Our physical stuff is not like the Army's. I'll admit that. Like I know we get made fun of,
but mental is different though. That's
and
across the board.
I see other guys like we watch videos of BMT now, and like the yelling has calmed way down, and that's across all branches now. It's crazy. Like I don't even know if you guys can get smoked anymore. I think smoking has sort of died out because of our world now.
Yeah, and I was gonna say it's like when I have a great story with that, but I have to put the disclaimer out there. You know, it's like with this story, understand different time.
Oh yeah.
Not saying that it's acceptable. Also, the guy that I'm telling the story about, amazing person. Mm-hmm. Most of my drill sergeants, I think every one of them had 3 deployments under their belt. It takes a lot to be those guys to train the future generation.
Yep.
And in the military, I'm going to say this first and foremost before I tell this story, is that we all wear green. Okay?
Yep.
There's no racism. There's no sexism. It's like, look, it is what it is.
No.
Like, at the end of the day, when you're in a foxhole, you all wear green, and that's the bottom line.
Especially on deployments.
Yeah. But you're going to hear probably the most raunchiest stuff in your life in there.
That's
and
crazy.
It's all in good fun, but in this case, my drill sergeant, love it. Taylor's heard this story a million times. His name was Drill Sergeant Gay.
Okay.
Okay.
I see where this is going, yeah.
His name is Drill Sergeant Gay. So we would go up to him and we'd be like, Drill Sergeant? And he'd be like, which drill sergeant you talking to? He's like, address me properly, you know?
Yeah.
And we'd, Drill Sergeant Gay? And he'd say, what'd you call me? And just start smoking us. And here's the thing. When it first happened, you know what I mean? You're like, what a dick. Yeah. What just a piece of garbage. Yeah. And then you're 8 weeks into basic, and you go up to him, and he says the same thing, and you can't help but laugh. And he can't help but laugh because everybody knows what's about to happen.
Oh, yeah.
But you're not worried about getting smoked anymore. Like, that's what you're going to do to me? That's fine, man. Yeah. Again, you've gotten better. Mm-hmm. You've gotten better, you know? I just, that's a real good way to put it.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Even during basic, you always have that one guy that can make the MTI laugh. And ours was actually Washington. And anytime we were in trouble for something or, like, we get yelled at pretty bad, but Washington could just make our MTI laugh about something. Like, one of the stories was we were in the day room because we had to have, I didn't agree with this, but we had to have airman's time where we got to actually sit down and talk to our MTI about their experiences and stuff. And one of our guys was from Germany, and he had talked about wherever he was from, and the MTI girl, Sergeant O'Rourke, she was my favorite, and she goes, what year were you born there? And Washington, without skipping a beat, says, were you trying to figure out if he was your son or not? So we're all thinking, oh crap, we're about to get yelled at. She's hot. So we get our mail. she's hiding her face with her mail because she is trying not to laugh.
Mm-hmm.
And then she turns it on, and it was Washington got reamed. It was so funny.
But and when you get to the real army and you can get that comfortability, now there has to be a sense of order and respect.
Oh yeah.
But you know what I'm saying. Eventually you all become a family of your own, and it's like those jokes are normal. That's what you're going to hear every day of the week, all the time.
Yeah, and people need to realize basic training is not, for Air Force, in my opinion, is not regular life when you get out of basic training. It is a totally different world. People, like, for me, because I'm a civil engineer, it's almost like a 9-to-5 job, just with a different uniform, but you have deployments and it's a little more strict.
So, getting on to that topic, I want to stay in the basic training because there's so many good stories there, and I know it's probably going to eat a lot of our clock. But to correlate that as well, when we graduated basic training in AIT, and then you get shipped kind of again into a transmat area to where you're going to get your orders, the best possible thing happened to me. And there was an E6, a staff sergeant, and we had PT in the morning.
Yep.
And he's out there. And this dude's probably in his 40s, but just a brick house. You know what I mean? And I can only imagine what he was on. That being said, we're out there doing flutter kicks just, for days. And he's doing them right there with us.
Oh, yeah.
And he's just like, if you can't, he's like, what's your excuse? What's your excuse?
That's their favorite thing to say.
He's
if they're doing it with you, they don't have any sympathy for you.
None.
You're the one out of shape.
And that's how this man was. He's like, I'm 40 and I'm here. And it's like, it's hard to argue.
Yeah,
but
you can't.
But the best thing that he said to me that put the realization in, and he wasn't being mean, he was just trying to prepare us. He says, you graduated basic in AIT. I'm gonna say it like it was said.
Yeah.
He said, you graduated basic in AIT. Congratulations. You just did what everybody around you has accomplished. And he's like, look around. In that moment, I look around and I'm like seeing vehicles come by and everything. And I'm like, he's right.
Yeah.
He's like, you can't walk around like you have.
Like you're hot shit.
Yeah, like you got the biggest stick in town and then expect that people are going to feel that way when they've been in there for years and years and years. Yeah. It's like, is it a big accomplishment? Yes.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's you should appreciate it. You should appreciate that you made it. Yeah. But the moment that graduation's over, if you're going to be enlisted, it's like, it's different. It's different. You can't say, it's not like National Guard where you get to go home.
No.
It's like you're going, now you learned everything the proper way by the book.
Yeah.
But now you got to learn the real way.
Now it's on you. It's not on the MTIs that keep you in order. It's on you, because we go right when you graduate basic. For us, you go to tech school, which is where you learn your job.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And mine was 6 months, and you have so much freedom. It's like a total different reality change, because your whole life at basic is they're telling you what to do, where to go, where to eat.
Oh yeah.
Then you get to tech school, and you have a curfew. You can go off base after you make it through a certain phase. Those idiots that ruin it for everybody. Mm-hmm. And I happened to luck out because living in Michigan, my parents were really nice and brought my car to Gulfport, Mississippi, which is where Structures C Tech School is. Mm-hmm. And every weekend you have to have a DD guy. Mm-hmm. So with only 6 of us having cars out of 85 students, guess who got picked almost every weekend of babysitting everybody? And so, like, my weekends were shot almost all the time. But
well, you brought up another good point. When you get out, I was in airborne school. I went straight to airborne school, and the nice thing was, it's like you said, it was just a Monday through Friday school.
Yeah.
And it's like, but you're still cut off. Like, I didn't have a vehicle. Mine was still home.
Yeah.
So you're still walking a lot at You're still figuring out.
Oh, yeah, we marched everywhere. Yeah. And your phone was in your dorm the entire time. If you had your phone at school,
yeah. That doesn't change. That doesn't change until you become active duty, like pure active duty, where you're just at your call off or your place. Yeah. Like
so I had a quick question about basic. So if you got in trouble, you had to carry around a 341, which was a piece of paper in our pocket. And if you got what you would call smoke, they'd say, "Give me a 341," and it would be a letter of reprimand or something, and they keep them through the entire basic, and like it's more of a scare tactic, I think, because I don't think it really affected anything when you went to tech school. They all got ripped up, but like I just wondered what like you guys didn't have anything like that, right?
No,
because we had to put it on our bed display.
no,
Yeah.
not at all.
Yeah.
No, they look our first night there, to put it in perspective. This, and I cannot make this up. Okay, the reason I haven't forgot it. They smoked us so hard that everybody had a pool of sweat underneath them that connected and made one big pool of sweat.
Yeah.
And I'm talking a line of, 20 people on this side and a line of 20 people on that side. Yeah. Now, obviously, it didn't meet in the middle, but I'm saying all the way down.
You guys are in Virginia, right?
No, we were in Georgia. Yeah. And yeah, great time. Dog days in Georgia. That being said, we also had basically what they call a kill square. Now again, times are different. I don't know how it is now. Okay, well, we had a kill square. So basically, the middle of the barracks room, there was painted, and you had the logo, and it was just a yellow outline. That's where you towed the line. When you had in the morning, say tow the line. Everybody gets up, they get in front of their bed, they line up. If you had a freaking shoelace over the kill zone, they would look at you and be like, "Who are you supposed to be fighting?" And you would find the guy next to you, and well, you'd have a good roll around bout.
Yep.
I mean, I graduated basic with a black eye. It's like a lot, you know what I mean? And they had to put makeup on it because the
Army had to put makeup on you.
Because the drill sergeant, like, here's the thing. Again, it's funny because after about 7 weeks, they really chilled on the whole kill zone and stuff like that. Yeah. But we have nothing else to do, and you just told us kill things for 7 weeks. So now we're just actively doing it. It's like you're bored and you're over there looking at Taylor, and you're just like, yeah, what are you doing? Yeah. And then you just put 1 foot into the kill box, and they're just like, you can't do that. You're like, stop me. And then next thing you know, and you're throwing, and somebody throws a potato, or somebody, you're grappling for a position. So I got a black eye, and they just put some makeup on it. I didn't give a shit myself. I was like, whatever.
Yeah. See, the only time we got to like vent our frustration physically is when we go to a thing called Beast Week, which is a deployed environment simulated. And one of the times you get the bugle stick. I don't know if you guys did that at all. No? All right, so you get 3 minutes. Dorm manager gets 5 because they put dorm manager versus dorm manager. But you're in helmets and you're in body stuff, and they give you like American Gladiator bugle stick, and they give you 3 minutes just to beat the shit out of each other as much as you want. Just like, and they'll hype you up. They'll be like, think that's your MTI. Think that's your MTI. I know you want to swing at me. Come on. Think that. And I got a guy that wasn't my favorite person in the world. I won't say his name. But I got to tee him up pretty good, and it was fun. Like, and you finally get to, like, have some fun, too.
Yeah, and a lot of it, too, is, like, people have to understand when we tell some of these stories, these are little aspects of them. It's not the whole story. Yeah. So a lot of times it might seem cruel, or there might be something like, oh, that's mean. And it's like, trust me when I say everybody's thinking the same thing. We're on the same page. It's you're systematic, you know.
And you are a team. Like, it's crazy that I got excited when I didn't have any demerits on my locker inspection. Like, it's crazy what you try to do to prove yourself to the MTI because you do respect it.
Yeah, I mean, people have to remember. Just like I said, my drill sergeant. Every one of them had 3 deployments. They're there because they're not trying to be assholes. They're trying to prep you and save your life.
Yeah.
And it's like, even though it may seem that way, it's like times may seem hard while you're there. It's like they're prepping you for hard times. Yeah. They're prepping you to have an attitude a little bit more stonewalled. It's not to be mean. It's really just the mentality you have to have sometimes.
Yeah. And you might think it's personal, but it's not.
Oh, it's never personal.
It's never personal. Like,
everybody's just like, so there would be like, the first time you usually get a drill sergeant to open up, you're usually like, are those Nike boots, you know? It's because everybody's wearing, and they're just like,
Yeah.
oh, I bet those are so comfortable, you know? It's like-
Yeah, and then you finally do get your uniform during basic training, and like, because ours took forever. Like I said, we were in civvies and shoes for 2 weeks.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, that's
and
crazy.
then when we get our uniform, they put us in shoes. They don't put us in boots because too many people. It's crazy to think fall out during PT and stuff because of their boots, because their feet just get killed by Texas concrete, and you just look weird. Like it's like even if you watch the YouTube videos, like you'll have army guys like you react to it, like why are they wearing tennis shoes? Like it's so weird. And finally you get the boots and you're like, okay, at least I kind of look like I'm in the military finally.
Let me ask you. Let me ask you this. I'm gonna. It's a two-part question. What was maybe the hardest thing you had to deal with, and what was your favorite memory in basic?
I mean, hardest part definitely was just being away from family. I know it's cliche to say,
No, it's not.
but
It's fair. People don't
being
understand.
18, like my family's close. Parents are still together. Love them dearly. Like it was my first time being away from them, and like my dad was apprehensive about me joining. I told him my junior year I was going to join, and he really didn't think it was real. He thought I was just talking. My mom, 100% said, "Yeah, you'll do it." And when I finally left, I think it hurt him a little bit, but then so that was the hardest part, and then the mental aspect of like you're not in control of your life.
Well, that's what people don't think about. Again,
Yeah,
there's a difference. You might not think that you are free in your day-to-day life, but nobody. If you want to go down the road to Casey's and grab a candy bar, well, you can.
yeah.
When you're in basic, you don't have anything. You have to understand it. You have no say so.
And if you went anywhere, you had to have a battle buddy.
Yep.
And you were marching. And
Yeah.
there's people that will yell out from their cars that aren't in basic, and they'll yell at you. They're not your MTI, but they'll still yell at you.
They know.
And they know. They know you're a trainee. You don't got any rank on. You don't got any name tapes on. Or yeah, you get name tapes because they want to know who they're yelling at. Hardest part, probably that. I wouldn't say anything specifically was like crazy hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I went into basic, decent shape, so none of the physical stuff was crazy. I was proud of myself that I went from running a 12:30 to the fastest mile and a half I've ever ran in my life to this date, a 9:50.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Booking.
Yeah, it's booking. Some people gain weight in basic because they eat.
Yeah.
Well, they get comfortable and they go to chow and they eat, and yeah, that was pretty cool. But my favorite thing about basic was when I graduated and we do the thing called the Airman's Run, where you're in your squadron sweatshirt. Because I was in the 322nd,
Mhm.
the Eagles.
Yep.
And we were in the old barracks. I called it Alcatraz compared to the new ones. We had weapons cases that our weapons were part of our into-bed display. In the other new barracks, they have lockers that had their weapons put in.
Yeah.
And heaven forbid you ever call your weapon a gun, because
Yeah.
your MTI will tee you up.
It's Betty,
Yeah,
Susan, Rebecca.
yeah.
They all have names.
Lita.
Yeah.
But
You got to name your weapon.
so you're running like, because I never played football or anything in high school. I played baseball, and you didn't have like a cool walkout or anything. So you're running as your team, and you're chanting your Jody, and then you turn right face, and I don't know how my parents did it to this day, eye to eye contact with them. And my mom bawling, my dad, and she's like waving a little Michigan State flag, and I see them, and then you guys get tapped out by your parents.
Explain.
So our first graduation that we see our parents, we're in our uniforms, and you go through you get your airman's coin, you do the song, and they finally release the parents onto the ground, and you are standing at parade rest, and yeah, until your parents come either from in front of you or behind you, and they tap you on your shoulder, and you can finally let that emotion out. And I had to get my emotion in check when I got my airman's coin, because I was staring right at my family and like seeing both, like my mom just bawling, And my dad taps me out, gives me a big hug. I've never seen my dad cry. Only when my grandpa passed away. That was the only other time I ever saw my dad. And it was the most proudest, like, what he said to me, like, don't even like saying it just because it's my thing.
Yeah.
It was, like, I was bawling. I don't care what people say. I know people make fun of the Air Force and basic isn't that hard to them, but...
Well, people, again, when we talk about basic and what I said earlier versus that, it's like, it is still a big accomplishment.
Yeah.
You still got through it. You still showed the grit.
Yep.
And I will agree. I'd say my hardest time mentally was the 12-mile ruck.
Mm-hmm.
I was a mile and a half from finishing it, and my legs just, it was not my day. I was dehydrated, and I ended up having, I couldn't go.
You guys do it the day before your graduation, right?
No. So there's a couple misconceptions with that for infantry. Okay? So you have to meet all these requirements. Now, I did perfectly fine for 99% of it. Like, you give me a 50-foot rope, I was up it. I've never had a fear of heights. Up it, fucking jump off the motherfucker, come catch it halfway down. I never had any issues with that. The runs and stuff, like I said, I wasn't a strong runner, but by the close to the end, I had that under control. My fastest 2-mile was 12:44. Mm-hmm. I still think yours is more impressive, to be honest. That's pretty damn good.
But you guys, guys run in your gear. I thought for something to pass.
No.
Something.
So they have, and I can't. It's I know what they call it. You still have to do your 12-mile ruck. Mm-hmm. I ended up falling short on it. So the very next morning, I think it was, or maybe I got a day. Mm-hmm. You have to get up before everybody else, and you have to do it again. And so that was the hardest part in my mind because I had to overcome the thought of falling short again. Mm-hmm. And that was really difficult for me. And I just remember, I'm like, I'm not going to fail. And I was like, I will pass this if my legs are broken. Yep. So I got through that. After that, again, that was like the breakthrough. And then you have what led me to my favorite memory in basic. And that's the death march. Okay? And again, I don't know what they do now. Mm-hmm. Back then, it's a little different. Okay? At this point, for infantry, you go on an 8 to 9 mile, another ruck. Yeah. All right? It was just like, but in my head, I've overcame the 12. I'm going to do this, which is crazy because this one is way harder. This is where you're going to have 5-gallon canteens in each hand, and they're going to say, you're shot, and then somebody goes down, and you have to carry them. And then they have a log, the big log that everybody has to participate with, Yeah. And you're carrying all this stuff for 8 miles, and you're stopping, getting smoked, and going, and you have to make the pace. And it really sucks. Mm-hmm. But it's the whole time, it's the last thing between you and what's coming. Yep. So you're in the last little stretch, you go up this hill, and it almost looks like a colt, but it's kind of cool. It's really neat, where there's wooden trees that are just, been chopped down, and it makes a big circle, and they have big wooden gates. Like you think, just went into Neverland, and the gates open up, and when everything's said and done, they tell you, drop all your stuff in the coordinated spot. And it's nighttime too. Okay. It's dark. It's been rugged. You got face paint on. You're just drenched in sweat, and there's a fire in the middle of that pit, and everybody circles around it. And to me, that's when all your drill sergeants kind of sit there and say, you did it. You've made it. Now this, if I'm not mistaken too, it's like, I'm pretty, I can't remember if this was at the end of AIT, because it all kind of conglomerates into one. I'm pretty sure this is the end of AIT, so this is like 14, 15 weeks in. And they're like, okay, it's like tomorrow you're an infantryman. You're officially an infantryman. But the tradition, you get grog, which is, it's not alcohol, but you get a special drink and everything, and you all do a big cheers together. Mm-hmm. And you hear a couple stories before that, and it's just a moment of silence where you feel like you're a Viking warrior that all at once you feel like the shadows of all the fallen that have gone to Valhalla are there with you, and you just feel great. To me, that was my favorite moment in basic. You know, I'm not going to say it's my favorite moment in the military, but that was the moment that I knew I was like, I'm a part of something special. It made me want to be there. You know,
It's crazy because like it is special. To, like make it like because during our airmen's run, I had people fall out. Like you are running to go see your family, and you can't even make a 2-mile run. I don't even think like I lost breath because I was so excited. And I'm not a runner, but I just knew I was gonna see my family.
yeah, and it was great. Like after that, like to be fair, it's like because I feel a little shitty because of the way you're like, I love seeing my family. My mom and my aunt came to my graduation, and like you said, my mom was crying. I think they both were, but it was a big moment for her, you know, and it did mean a lot to me that she came, you know. Family, it's funny, like you might have a weird perception of family, but when you're there and you go through a lot, it's one of those when you see them for the first time, it's just a whole different feeling of emotion. So, on top of that, yeah, getting all soft over here.
Yeah.
I don't even. I had to dig those up, you know. But other parts of basic, I love. You know, the gas chamber. That's the one everybody kind of fears.
Everybody. So when people ask me about BMT, which it's hard to give advice now because it's changed so much since I went through.
Yeah, but
it changes every year.
It's fun to tell your story.
Yeah,
though.
it's fun to tell you. So our gas chamber story. We got a little bit of time.
Oh yeah, we're good.
My gas chamber story is that we go to Beast Week and right before you do the gas chamber, they give you an MRE to they give you a little bit of time. And this guy, like I don't know what his problem was, probably because he was working the gas chamber, gave us a minute and a half to eat our MREs. Okay, for people that don't know, it takes at least 2 minutes for those things to warm up. And you
had time to warm up.
Yeah. I got chicken chunk and I ate it cold, ate everything. And then like he took everybody's 341s that weren't in formation and then a little fast forwarding, but when we got back to our barracks like from Beast Week, we found out that guy because he did that to us because he gave us this big speech like you're not in the Air Force yet. You guys are thinking you're special. And I don't know if I agree with what happened to him. They made him work inside the gas chamber for the rest of the time that he was stationed there because of that. Because he didn't give us any time to eat. And it was our first time eating that whole day. Like him back.
And people need to understand, it's like if you have an MRE, like let's say an MRE cracker.
Yeah.
All right. It's not like a saltine. It's like
your
mouth is instantly, it takes all the moisture out.
Yeah.
Instantly. It's just calories. Usually they're about 3,000 calories per pack.
Yeah. It's like these people nowadays that like their whole life is working out. They don't eat for taste. They eat for sustenance. That's what MREs are.
Yep.
They're just calories.
They're just calories.
If you really want to try one, go to any. I think Walmart might have them for like $12. They have them in our commissary, but people can't get to that. They're $12 to try them. The best one. What was your favorite MRE?
Oh, veggie patty.
Really?
Honestly, here's the thing. It just something about it. It was covered in barbecue sauce, and I thought it just tasted amazing. It's
the barbecue sauce just fixes everything.
Yeah.
Chicken chunk. Like my favorite is meatball marinara because I could eat it cold and I could eat and then get the pound cake. That was I don't care anything about the candy or anything.
The pound cake.
You got the pound cake. That was the best thing about that. But back to the gas chamber. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
So I go in, and what they had us do was try to say your reporting statement, and I think I made it to sir before it just hits you like a brick, it's
instant.
Yeah, and the MTI's in there with his mask on. We don't have our mask on, and he's just saying, "What are you saying? What are you saying? Say it all the way. Say it." And I think I tried it like 4 times, and the farthest I made it was sir trainee. And it's just and then you go outside, and then you do airplane. You put your arms out, and you walk around this little field, and actually after one lap you feel fine, and you actually feel good because it clears out your sign.
If you're sick or have a stuffy nose,
go find some tear gas and light it up. Screw any medicine, man. Just light up some tear gas in your garage and clear out your.
Let it go.
Yeah, it was, and so you're walking out with your gas mask on, and you do a full circle, and you just have snot all over. Everybody does.
Everybody does.
Yeah,
because people also to understand, it's like when they talk about that, like Nash was just saying, they have their mask on. The room is cleared of fumes unless, and sometimes there's still some resin in there from the group before you.
Yeah.
And you don't get to put your mask on. You're training to put your mask on. So they light it. The moment it lights, your best bet is try not to look at them, close your eyes, and hold your breath. But even then, they're going to go to you one by one, and then they tell you, take your mask off and say something. Because they'll say, put your mask on, then say, take it off, and you got to say something, and then they put your mask back on. And then you go out the door. By the time you get out the door, like you said, you get to take your mask back off.
And you're pushing the dude in front of you.
Oh, yeah.
Like, get the hell out of the way, man.
I joked, but I really did. I watched the group before me, and they would grab people from the sides and be like, get back in there, do it again, you know. I stayed right in the middle. I'm short. I was invisible.
Yeah, subscriber. That's what they called people. At our BMT, you were a leader, a subscriber, or I can't remember what the worst one was. I was definitely a subscriber.
I was
there. I didn't want people knowing my name. Nope. I got through everything. Even my MTI, they meet your parents, actually, when you're showing off your barracks where you live. She was like, Cogswell? Yep. He was good. Didn't even really know he was here.
That's the best compliment you will ever get. It's like people don't understand. It's like being that.
He was a good one. That's what she said. And I was like, hell yeah.
That means you did your job right.
Yep.
That means you weren't overbearing. You weren't selfless. You were being what you were supposed to be.
You weren't annoying trying to lead everything like some of these guys do. They think they're Rambo.
I will say, though, if anybody ever wants to go in, understand it's like not everybody, like when we were in, they would give you fake rank. So it'd be like, hey,
dorm dorm leader.
This week it's your turn to be in charge. Look, there's always a douche that gets it at some point. Yeah. But understand that it's not their choice that they got that. Most genuinely, somebody has to do it.
Yeah.
And
sometimes it's just the biggest guy.
Yeah.
Like our guy was Zosu from Africa, biggest dude I've ever seen. Did muscle ups instead of pull ups. And the first time all the MTIs come in on like the first week of your uniform, they all come into each flight. You're standing by your lockers and they're just reaming you. And I remember Zosu was across from me, and the MTI runs up to him and yells, "I see potential in you. Just look how big you are. I know you have command in your future." And like just because he was in amazing shape, and I'll give it to him. He was like he told all of us the second day we were there he's gonna get 100 on the EOC because he was from Africa. He became a citizen during BMT.
That's awesome. And that's a beautiful. A lot of people don't know that. You see a lot of foreign people.
Oh yeah,
there
and they take
get their way more serious.
Way more. This is their life.
Yeah,
like he would get pissed at us if we messed up.
Yeah, they don't. They do not fuck around.
Yeah, because we have privilege. Like they don't have that privilege. Like this is their livelihood. It's crazy.
That's great. Man, I have so many stories.
Wow, me too.
And it's just like I just hear some of that, and it's like it takes me back to combatives. And this Taylor's probably one of his favorite stories too. Is we had same thing. We had a Russian special ops dude.
Yeah.
I don't know why he had to go through basic. Here's the thing. I know it was so goofy. He was way past it. You understand? It's like this guy.
It was a vacation for him.
Oh, vacation. But the funniest thing was, it's like when I say like he was true blue, he bled green, he loved us, everything was great. But the funny thing is that like again, he'd already done all this in hardcore, done it.
Probably outranked the MTIs.
Like you know what I mean?
Service.
In his service. Yeah. So but combatives was mandatory. That's a mandatory thing. We had a drill sergeant Wolf. Respect the hell out of him. Scary dude. You know, scary dude. And that day, he spoke kind of broken English, but they're like, okay, he's like, you got to do combatives, and he's like, no, and then they're like, you have to, and he's like, no, and they're like, why not? Give us a good reason, like and he's like, I can't. He's like, I'm a trained, like,
he can't flip the switch off when he's.
Well, he's just like, I'm not. It's a whole different level. Mm-hmm. It's a whole different level, and he's like, I don't want to do something and hurt somebody on accident. And he's like, because the way we train and some of this, he's like, it's two different levels, and you would think, well, he should have better control. The dude's massive. I mean, massive. Yep. So it is a little different.
He's like that 15-year-old that's 280 pounds playing with pee-wee football against guys, and it's not his fault he's hurting people.
Exactly. That's him.
Like Taylor.
And Drill Sergeant Wolf says, well, I'll do combatives with you. And he goes, no.
Because he'll get in more trouble if he tees up the drill sergeant.
And that was his whole thing. Because he was a foreigner, he's like, now I don't want to do it because if I hurt you...
Oh, the foreign guy.
Yeah, it's like... And then my family has to go back home. And so he had to give him the exemption in front of everybody. And the commander like, it's fine if anything bad happens to me. So he's like, all right, dude. Snap my freaking fingers. That guy grabbed him and Olympic slammed him. I swear to you, when he turned his body, both their feet were off they were like this high off the ground. And he turned and just slammed him and then just stood right back up like a robot and just stood there. And I was just like, he killed him.
He killed him. We just witnessed a murder.
Like, that's it. He murdered him.
It's like Jarhead. We just witnessed the murder.
And then you finally hear that.
Yeah. He was rethinking his life choices there.
But here's the thing. Anybody else there, I think it just caught him off guard that like he was actually as good as he portrayed himself to be. Mm-hmm. I think that's what caught him off guard. Because anybody else there, it's like, if you asked me to combat with him, I'm good, bro. Like, with that drill sergeant, no, not at all. Wolf was a cool dude, but nah, We
didn't really have that much combatives in our basic. We actually do combatives more when you get deployed. You go to a different training that has way more. If you go to, like, I went to Iraq and I had to do training for combatives and all that, and prisoner of war training, and like, because I've been on 3 deployments.
Yeah, and thank you for your service.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Next thing he'll be like, "Oh, good job, Chair Force." Like, he'll switch when the cameras turn off. He'll turn back into John. That's all right, man. That's pretty cool. Like, I'm 26 years old and I've been to Dubai, Iraq.
Does
Kuwait.
The plane have air conditioner?
No. C-17, C-130, man.
I'm gonna have to throw a few blows here and there.
Oh, that's fine. We're used to it. Yeah, but who got you to that deployment? The Air Force.
What, the deployment?
Who took you in the plane?
A really nice steward.
Yeah. We all get along on deployments.
Oh, yeah.
You love, especially when they have like intramural sports in your deployed location. Oh, we go hard at each other.
I didn't get to see any of that.
Yeah.
I was out in the field.
Oh, yeah. You're so badass, man.
Pretty sure I still got some dirt on my elbows. Shit.
Yeah.
No, it's all in good fun. So, we're getting close on time.
No.
Is there any memory or anything what would you tell somebody that's going in? Like, let's start there. What would you tell somebody with a little piece of advice going in?
Well, if they're heading to basic, definitely don't. I know the recruiter loves to give out shirts like with the logo on. Don't be that guy that goes to basic with the Air Force shirt on. You are giving the MTI something to yell at you about. Oh, you think you're already in? You think you're already an airman? Like, and also like I said, don't stand out. Like, okay, there's some people that just stand out because they want to go above and yeah, you want to go above and beyond. I'm not saying don't do that, but don't draw attention to yourself. Don't go there with your brand new haircut that you're trying out for your first time.
It's going
ever.
away.
It's going away. They're done, and they don't. The barber doesn't say a word. He just grabs you by your head, and it's gone. You guys are all gonna look alike. That's the point. Is that you are changing your standards to the military.
Yeah, I agree with that 1,000%. I cannot express that enough. It's not that you're not trying to try, but a great thing is like after we'd eat lunch out on the concrete and shit, it's like they'd always have people. It's like you have to sweep up afterwards, and it's like don't be the guy that does it every time, but don't be afraid to go grab the broom.
Yeah.
It's like don't be the guy that's gonna just rely on everybody else. Just do your part, and you'll be surprised how and listen. That's probably my.
Don't let the same guy get yelled at every day because he decides to do the jobs that go in. Because we have at Chow, we have the snake pit where the chow runner goes, and they go in for your flights outside. Your chow runner runs inside, and that's where all the MTIs sit to eat lunch. And you have to say, what do you have to say? Flight 169 is prepared to enter the dining facility, and then you say some other stuff, and then sometimes MTIs will question you about something in the Air Force. And all they want you to do is not lie. If you don't know, say, I don't know. They might be like, why don't you know? And you could, I haven't got to that part in my book, in my PDG. Mm-hmm. And don't always let the same guy be chow runner. Like, don't let him get reamed every day.
Well, it's not just that, because eventually they're going to notice.
Yeah.
And they're not going to just make it bad for him.
They won't let you come in. They won't let your flight come in and eat.
They're going to make it bad for everybody.
Yeah. It's so funny little story.
Go ahead, yeah.
So it's our 6th week in training. We're so close to graduating, 2 weeks away. One of the guys in my flight, tallest dude I've ever seen. He's already like, you're going to see him from a mile away. Takes a banana out of the chow hall because you have to wait for your battle blade to come out before you can start walking back to your barracks. He's eating a banana standing there outside of the chow hall underneath the overhang where everybody's at. And we're just looking at him like, what in your brain thought that was okay to do? It's 6 weeks, man. You know that's not. Oh, they just reamed him. And I think they made him. What did they make him do? I think he got smoked for like at least 2 minutes of exercises, and then they made him go back inside and eat an entire banana in there. Because they were like, if you want a banana so bad, go eat a banana. Like, it was funny. It's what people think is okay sometimes. It's crazy.
Yeah, just use common sense. Listen, do what you're told.
You're going to get yelled at. Don't be like, it's going to happen at some point. Like,
and
you're
also,
not going to be perfect.
Like, if you're going to do 400 push-ups in a day, guess what? You're not going to be able to.
No.
Everybody knows that. It's about trying. It's about just being there and trying and giving your best. But if you're listening and you don't take things personally, like you said, it's like, guess what? By the end of it, it's been a beautiful journey that you'll remember for your whole life.
Yep. It really, like, the friendships you make, like, that makes basic so much easier. Like, make friends. You might not know them after you leave basic, but at least they're your bunkmate. Hopefully you like them. You're going to be seeing them a lot.
That's it.
I lucked out with mine because mine was in charge of the nightly EOC procedures, which are the people that have to stay up certain hours and watch the door.
Yep.
I lucked out a little bit with that. He gave me some good times. Just try to enjoy it. Like, it's not, like, I think you need to realize you'll get better. It's not what the Air Force life is, 100 hours a day. Like, when you finally get through basic, like I said, like, I'm at Whiteman and I fix garage doors and do drywall, and I'm not standing on the front line getting yelled at by a guy every single day. Army, it probably is different, especially infantry. You're going there to train to go.
Well, let me put it like this: if people think it's so bad, would you go back to basic?
Hell yeah. It'd be so much easier now.
I would do it too. Like, if I,
especially nowadays.
Like, so if it's so bad, why is it that a lot of people would be like, "That's what you want me to do"?
Yeah, I'll go do it 8 weeks. Like, the MTIs are only there for 3 years, I believe. Because it's a special duty, and I always respect them because they can flip the switch. They can go from yelling at us and then going home and being a regular good dad or husband or wife.
Nash, buddy. I mean, I'm just going to throw this out there. You're a great representation for the military. You're a great representation of what an airman should be. I can't thank you. I can't thank you enough for coming on. I really can't.
Yep. Thanks for having me on, man. It's been great.
And I really hope that we can continue. I mean, we just literally got over basically basic, you know, and I know there's many stories, so hopefully we can have you on in the future. But thank you so much. We're going to end it the same way we always do. We're going to point at the camera. Thank you all so much. Please like and subscribe if you like the video. Leave a comment for me or my main man, Taylor, who is behind the camera.
Doing an amazing job.
Yep. So we thank you all so much. You all have a wonderful, blessed day. All right, let's send them home.
Who are you?